Greetings, happy coders. Hope you are all doing well and a very happy new year to you. A little bit belated one from me. Haven't done a video for a little while, and I certainly haven't done an AGD tips video for a very long time, and I thought I would do one as I was just working on a couple of little scripts, and I thought this would be something that some of you might be interested in. So if we take a look at this routine here, and I'll just run it now. Just a simple walking animation. This is Monty Mole from a couple of Andy John's games, and it's just a standard animation, as you can see here. And we have 4 frames to the left, 4 frames to the right, and a standard script here, which on the face of it is simple enough. It's just a demo. If you press the right key, then set the image, check if you can go right. If you can, do an animation. We've got a timer, simple animation timer that I'm sure you'll have seen used in many games, in Paul Jenkinson's tutorials and so on. There's that timer there. So that just flips. It causes the animation frames to run every other cycle, and that's all fine, and that's the standard way that you would do something like this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you 2 more slightly more advanced things that you can do, and they actually take less memory than doing it this way. Okay, so I've just switched over. As you can see, memory is a little bit less than it was. And if you take a look at the script, let's see what we've done here. So we're using the rand. This is used as a temporary variable. If you do use rand within script 0, then you could use a different variable, maybe opt or obj or something like that. Just anything that can be used as a temporary variable. And we're storing the y value there, which is going to test if the character has moved or not. So as you can see, we're no longer checking for the animation here, and we're no longer using the timer. So we're going to do that right at the bottom here. So instead of doing it on left and right, we only have to do it once now. And this gives us an added advantage. As well as saving a little bit of memory, we can also set the frame to 0 if the character hasn't moved. So as well as saving a bit of space here by putting the animation in at the bottom, so we only use it once, we also set it so that the character will resort to the first frame if it isn't moving, which means that basically, as you'll see, the character will move, and then he'll also have a stop position like that, which is also quite pleasant because it looks like he's standing still rather than stuck in the middle of a step. So as well as saving some space with the animation according to the movement, we've also added something there by allowing him to stop when he's not moving. Okay, so now let's take up another step in this process. We're going to save even more memory, and we're going to get the same result. So let's move over and take a look at that. Okay, now in this example you can see we've saved quite a lot more memory here, probably more than 150 bytes or more. So let's take a look at that. The first thing I want to show you here is that we now only have 3 frames of animation, which is 1, 2, and 3. But obviously the animation doesn't look as nice, as you can see. It doesn't really work in the same way because we've got a frame missing. So what we actually want it to do is animate in this way. Frame 0, and then frame 1, and then back to frame 0, and then to this frame. So we want it to swing like that. So what we're going to have to do is swing from 0 to 1, to 0 to 1 to 0. Now we're going to take advantage of the fact that the animation will loop over itself from 0 back to 2 if we animate backwards. And so we put a script in here, and as you can see, this was our previous animation script, and now what we're doing is we're checking the timer, and we're using the dir variable here. So we have one direction, which is animate forward. So it starts at 0, it animates to 1. It will then check if the frame is 1, and if it is, then it will then change the direction to 1 here, because we know that the frame is 1, so we'll change dir to 1. This saves us a byte rather than writing the number. And if dir is 1, it will animate backwards. So if it's at 1, it'll go to 0, and if it's at 0, it'll go to 2. And that's why we then check, are you at 2? If frame equals 2, let dir A, and A, we know from here, is 0. In other words, if we run through it, we would start with frame 0, animate to frame 1, animate back to frame 0, animate back again to frame 2, and then to 0, then to 1, and then to 0. So it's the swing pattern that we were already talking about, and it's a fairly short amount of code, and it saves us, of course, 2 whole frames, one for the left, one for the right. So that's 256 bytes saved, and obviously the script is a little bit longer, but it's not that much longer. And as you'll see here, we get exactly the same result and a nice smooth animation that we had before. So exactly the same result as before, and quite a significant amount of memory saved. If we go back to the original and we just bring in this is the memory that we had, this is the memory in the original, the very first one. As you can see, if I take away 264 from here, there you can see we've saved 170 bytes of memory there, and we've actually gained a nice effect as well with the fact that we've got this animation running, and it also stops. So there you go, that's the tip for today. I hope you found it useful. Obviously you may need to tweak that a little bit to integrate it into other games. One of the things that you might need to do when you are here in this part, sorry, I'll go back to the original, that is to say the final version here. If we take a look down here, you might need to put something in here to take into account if the character is moving up and down, because obviously this one is only really dealing with left and right. So you might need to take that into account, or when the character is in the middle of a jump, for example. At the moment, the character will still, well, the character doesn't jump at the moment, but obviously it would still animate if it was jumping. So you can check for if there's something below the character and that kind of thing, just as you would with a regular routine. But that's the trick, just kind of boiled down into its simplest form. And I hope you found it useful. So keep enjoying the Spectrum, and as always, happy coding. Bye-bye. This video would not be possible without the amazing contributions from the people whose names you can see scrolling up the screen right now. If you'd like to be one of them, you can get all my games for free, you can get some coding tips, you can even get to dictate which games I work on in the future, and you might even feature in them. So if that sounds good to you, then head over to the Patreon page. The link is just coming up now, and in the meantime, happy coding. Bye bye.